They say the system is supposed to help people. But what happens when you beg to live? Justice for Andrea. Justice for Andrea Williams, affectionately known as Drea Situation. My niece suffered from lupus, and while in the custody of Department of Corrections, she begged to live. She begged for the proper care while there. Before even going there, she begged the judge for a reduction or probation because she feared the very thing that she knew would happen.
She begged for her life before she was sentenced. She told the judge about her medical condition. She even wrote a letter while incarcerated. But she was ignored. She was ignored by the system that was supposed to protect her. She was ignored by the prison guards. She was ignored by the judge. The judge said, "You should have thought about that before you committed a crime." And now what she feared the most finally happened to her. What happens when you tell the court exactly how you're going to die, and they sentence you there anyway? Welcome back to True Crime Unravelled. Before we dive in, I want to take a second to appreciate every single one of you who's been dropping comments. We read every last one of them. The theories, the personal stories, the outrage. Keep them coming. You're the reason we do this. This is not a story about someone who committed murder. This is not a story about violence or drugs or gangs. This is the story of a woman who told the truth, who put it in writing, who begged on her knees, and a system that looked the other way until she stopped breathing. Before we get into it, hit that like button if you believe every inmate deserves basic medical care. Let's see how many of you stand with Drea. Her name was Andrea Williams, but everybody called her Drea. And if you knew her, you'd know that Drea Situation wasn't just a nickname. It was a warning label. Because when Drea walked into a room, something was about to happen. And 9 times out of 10, it was something good. She grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, went to Dillard High School, later studied at Broward College. She was working for herself, building something from nothing, the way so many young women in South Florida try to do every single day. Her aunt called her a princess, not because she was spoiled, but because she carried herself like royalty. Her family says she was the light in dark rooms, the one who made everybody laugh, the fun in any space she entered. And when she left this earth on February 14th, 2026, Valentine's Day didn't just become a holiday about love anymore. Her family says it's now Drea Situation Day, because a regular day wouldn't have been enough for her. So how does a woman like that, beloved, ambitious, full of life, end up dead in state custody? And why did everyone see it coming except the people with the power to stop it? Andrea Williams had lupus. For those who don't know, lupus isn't some minor condition you can shake off with a good night's sleep. This is a life-threatening autoimmune disease. It means your body, the very thing that's supposed to protect you, turns on itself. It attacks your organs, your joints, your skin, your kidneys. It's a war inside your own blood. Managing lupus requires consistent medical care, regular checkups, specific medications, proper nutrition, monitoring for inflammation. This isn't elective treatment. This is keep you alive treatment. Without it, the body breaks down, slowly at first, then all at once. Andrea knew this. Her family knew this. And before she ever set foot inside a prison cell, she told the court exactly what would happen if they locked her away without proper care. She didn't guess. She didn't exaggerate. She stated a medical fact. So here's what I keep coming back to. If a doctor told you that sending someone to prison without medical treatment would kill them, would you still do it? And if the answer is yes, what does that say about us? When Andrea stood before the judge in Broward County, she wasn't asking for a free pass. She wasn't making excuses. She was asking for something simple, the ability to stay alive. She asked for probation. She asked for a reduced sentence. She asked for anything that would keep her within reach of the medical care her body needed to function. She stood there and said in so many words, "Your Honor, if you send me there the way I am right now, I will not survive." And do you know what the judge said? You should have thought about that before you committed a crime. Think about those words for a second. You should have thought about your autoimmune disease before you got in trouble. As if lupus was a choice. As if she woke up one morning and decided to have her body attack itself. Let me ask you something. If Andrea had cancer, would that judge have said the same thing? If she needed dialysis, would he have told her to think about that before she broke the law? Or does the system only care about medical conditions when they're convenient to care about? Her request was denied. Her medical needs were noted and then dismissed. And the state of Florida took custody of Andrea Williams, along with the responsibility to keep her alive. She was sent to the Florida Women's Reception Center. And from the moment she arrived, the clock started ticking. Not on her sentence, on her life. On December 8th, 2025, Andrea did something that people who are getting proper medical care don't have to do. She wrote a letter, by hand, to the court. And here's what she said, quote, "I'm not getting the proper treatment or nutrients needed. Please allow me to get the proper treatment needed for the recent change in my health and my lupus." Read that again. The recent change in my health. That means her body was getting worse. The lupus was progressing, and she could feel it happening. She knew what was coming, and she still had the strength to pick up a pen and ask for help one more time. That letter was ignored, just like her courtroom plea, just like her request to be moved to medical, just like every single time she told someone inside those walls that her body was failing. The guards heard her. The medical staff saw her. The system knew, and nobody did a damn thing. Her family says you could see it happening. Her face was swollen. The inflammation was visible. This wasn't a hidden condition. This was a woman falling apart in plain sight. And still nobody acted. How many letters does a person have to write before someone reads them? How many times does she have to beg before someone listens? And at what point does deliberate indifference become something uglier, something closer to a slow, legal execution? On February 14th, 2026, Valentine's Day, Andrea Williams died inside the Florida Women's Reception Center. She was 29 years old. Her family got the news the way families always get this kind of news. A phone call, a voice on the other end trying to sound professional. Words like unexpected and under investigation and we're so sorry for your loss. Except Andrea's death wasn't unexpected. She told them it was coming. She put it in writing. Her family believes, and the evidence supports, that serious questions need to be answered about the medical care she received. Or more accurately, the medical care she didn't receive. The state had a legal and moral responsibility, and by every measure they failed. This isn't the first time the Florida Department of Corrections has faced backlash over inmate treatment, medical neglect, false investigations, lies about causes of death, staff misconduct. The pattern is there. The question is whether anyone will do anything about it. Here's what I believe. Andrea Williams didn't die because her lupus was too aggressive. She didn't die because her condition was untreatable. She died because the system decided her life was worth less than her punishment. And that's not an accident, that's a choice. The Eighth Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishment, and deliberate indifference to serious medical needs has been ruled unconstitutional again and again. But those rulings only matter if someone enforces them. And in Andrea's case, nobody did. Would Andrea be alive today if she had been wealthy? If she had been well-connected? If she had been a different color or come from a different neighborhood? I don't know the answer to that. But I know what her family believes. And I know what the evidence suggests. The guards who ignored her pleas need to be held accountable. The medical staff who watched her deteriorate need to answer for their choices. And the judge who told her she should have thought about her medical condition before committing a crime, he needs to sit with that statement for the rest of his life.
They say the system is supposed to help people. But what happens when you beg to live? Justice for Andrea. Justice for Andrea Williams, affectionately known as Drea Situation. My niece suffered from lupus. And while in the custody of Department of Corrections, she begged to live. She begged for the proper care while there. Before even going there, she begged the judge for a reduction or probation because she feared the very thing that she knew would happen, that she would pass away. And the judge said, you should have thought of that before you got in trouble. She continued to write letters to the judge while not getting care. She continued to beg just to simply live. And she was ignored. Her last letter to the judge was December. 2 months later, February 14th, she passed away. You can see the inflammation in her face. You can see that she was not getting the proper care that she even deserved. No one should have to beg just to live. But the system said they're supposed to help. They didn't help her. They failed her. And now we demand answers because she should still be here. She should still be with her family. She should still be with her friends, her loved ones, everybody who cares so much about her. But the system failed her, and we have to be without her.
So here's what I want to know from you. Do you believe Andrea's death was negligence, or was it something worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Use the hashtag JusticeForDrea. Let her family see that people are paying attention. If this story hit you the way it hit me, hit that like button. Subscribe to True Crime Unraveled on YouTube. And for daily updates and content, find us on Facebook and Instagram at True Crime Unraveled TV. We're everywhere. And we're not going anywhere. Andrea Williams had a name. She had a family who loved her. She had a future that was stolen. She begged to live. And nobody listened. Justice for Drea isn't just a hashtag. It's a demand. Rest in peace, princess. The world failed you. But we won't forget you. True Crime Unraveled. We read every comment. Keep them coming. And we'll see you in the next one.